Welcome everyone to tonight's Salt Lake City formal council meeting. If you've joined us over the past few weeks, you've seen already that we're holding our meetings remotely due to declarations of emergency and social distancing. We're happy to have you connect with us by phone and watching us at home, either on SLC TV or on the council's Facebook page. To begin, we'd like to take a moment of silence as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. When we're done, we'll turn the audio back on. So an image of the flag is going to display itself. And if you'll just say the Pledge of Allegiance to yourself, and then we'll come right back. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. As we begin tonight's formal meeting, I'd like to highlight that in addition to our business tonight as the City Council, we also have business in our role as the local building authority and the redevelopment agency. As the city's elected officials, council members serve not only on the City Council, but we also serve on the local building authority board and the redevelopment agency board. Think of the council as wearing different hats. We will begin the business of the local building authority, and then we will change our hats and move on to the redevelopment agency business items. Lastly, we will conduct our business as the body of the City Council. In addition, I wanted to mention a few meeting guidelines for the public, for public comment opportunities. Although we are conducting meetings electronically, we do still want to make sure people feel comfortable and safe to participate. To help facilitate our comment period, please be respectful. Avoid yelling or making racial slurs, obscene, or defamatory remarks. We are at item A4 as the local building authority, which is approving the local building authority meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Fowler, and a second from Board Member Rogers. Is there any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, I will go ahead and roll call it. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Baldemoro.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan. Councilmember Dugan. I can't hear you. Yeah, the thumbs up. Councilmember Dugan. Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes as well. That is unanimous. We'll go ahead and move to the next item, which is item B1, the final budget for Capital Projects Fund for the Local Building Authority of Salt Lake City, Utah for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. I'll look for a motion.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler and a second from Councilmember Johnston. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call it for a vote. Councilmember Rogers. I didn't hear you, but I think I saw your lips say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Johnston.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Oh, good, you're back. And Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. That passes unanimously. All right, we will now adjourn as the local building authority and convene as the redevelopment agency board. If someone would like to make a motion to that effect.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we adjourn as the local building authority and reconvene as the redevelopment agency board.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Valdemoros,
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Mono,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. We're now reconvened as the redevelopment agency. I'll hand it over to RDA Board Chair Amy Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first item is the RDA is a public hearing item D1 regarding a resolution adopting the final budget for the redevelopment agency of Salt Lake City for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
you do have a commenter on this public hearing item.
excellent.
It's George Chapman, when you're ready.
Welcome,
unmute.
George. It's good to, about to hear your voice. Please, you know that we have 2 minutes. We will start your timer as soon as you introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Okay, this is George Chapman, and I urge the RDA board to adopt a policy of not allowing any more loans to projects like Richmond Flats that imply a done deal that effectively accepted a rezone of the Richmond Street property because it negatively impacts a potential major north-south bicycle route that we've been planning for over 10 years on 13th East. Mill Creek and Sugar House do not realize how important and the impact this has, and they have not been allowed a respectful public engagement on this development, and any further decisions should allow that appropriate public engagement. And I remind you that recently, you as a city council recently adopted a policy of increasing awareness and participation for city projects. The RDA board did not do that in this case. That's my comment for the RDA board.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George. Are there any other comments regarding this item?
Madam Chair, I don't have further comments for the RDA budget.
Great, thank you, Cindy Lou. In that case, I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt a resolution for the final budget for the redevelopment agency of Salt Lake City for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021.
Second.
We are just setting the date though, aren't we, for this?
I hope so.
We're not adopting the resolution yet. We're just setting a date. We're closing public hearing and setting a date,
Oh, okay.
holding further public hearing and deferring action.
Okay,
Yes, I
then
think you could say continuing the public hearing because the plan is to also have a public hearing on June 2nd on the RDA budget. Sorry.
So
Didn't
Madam
prepare
Chair,
a motion sheet.
Madam Chair, I'll amend my motion to continue the public hearing and set a date for adoption of the resolution on a future agenda item for the fiscal year 2020-2021 RDA budget.
Second.
Second.
Great, I have a motion by Board Member Wharton, a second by Board Member Valdemoros. Is there any discussion on this? Great, Board Member Wharton,
Yes.
Valdemoros,
All right. Yes, I'm a yes.
Board Member Dugan,
Yes.
Mono,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And that is all the business we have at this formal meeting for the RDA. I would ask for a motion to adjourn as the RDA and to reconvene as the Salt Lake City Council, or excuse me, to convene as the Salt Lake City Council.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn as the RDA board and convene as the Salt Lake City Council.
Second.
Excellent. I have a motion by Board Member Wharton, a second by Board Member Valdemoros. Go through this again. Board Member Wharton,
Yes.
Valdemoros,
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Mono,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.
Thank you. We are now convened again as the Salt Lake City Council, and we are at item F1 for approval of our work session meeting minutes of Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020, and Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, as well as the formal meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. Look for a
Mr.
motion.
Chair, move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rogers, a second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Valdemoros,
Yes.
Mono,
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. That passes unanimously. We're at item F2 on the agenda, a joint ceremonial resolution with Mayor Mendenhall designating Salt Lake City as a Utah Heritage City as part of the Better Days 2020 events, honoring the 150th anniversary of Utah women being the first in the nation to vote under an equal suffrage law. I will go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution recognizing and honoring the 100th anniversary of the League of, honoring the 150th anniversary of women being the first in the nation to have the right to vote. Whereas the history of women voting in Utah is long and vibrant, and whereas on February 14, 1870, Utah school teacher Sarah Young voted in a municipal election under equal suffrage laws and is credited with being the first woman to vote in an election in any state or territory now part of the United States of America. And whereas the U.S. Congress passed the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States on June 4th, 1919, guaranteeing American women the right to vote, which was ratified on August 18th, 1920. And whereas Carrie Chapman Catt, a suffragist and founder for the League of Women Voters, led the state-by-state strategy that resulted in its passage. And whereas Carrie Chapman Catt spoke at the Conference of Women Voters held at the Salt Lake Tabernacle on November 17th, 1919, and whereas the conference was sponsored by the Utah State Suffrage Council, then presided over by Utah feminists Emmeline B. Wells, Emily S. Richards, and others, and whereas the League of Women Voters is a civic group originally formed to help women take a larger role in public affairs after they won the right to vote, and whereas the League of Women Voters is proud to be nonpartisan, neither supporting nor opposing candidates or political parties at any level of government, but always working on vital issues of concern to the public. And whereas since 1987, the United States Congress has annually authorized the President of the United States to declare the month of March as Women's History Month, and whereas the League of Women Voters was formed 100 years ago on February 14th, 1920, now therefore be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City recognize the League of Women Voters as an important civic organization working for the welfare of all Utahns. Be it further resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City recognize the long history of civic engagement by the organization and its intent to pursue work for the next 100 years. I'll look for a resolution.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt this joint resolution.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Valdemoros. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we will go ahead and roll call it. Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Valdemoros,
Yes.
Mono,
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. That is adopted. Thank you very much, everyone. We're now at item F3, which is the Youth City Government presentation of the Youth State of the City Address. We have Youth City Government students Erica Strand and Andy Madsen, who will be presenting to the council. First, we have Erica Strand. Please share with us your school that you attend and whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, and then go ahead and present your report.
Council Chair,
Yes.
just before Erica starts, I wasn't sure if you wanted to wait for Andy to return. She has not yet arrived back into the meeting.
Oh,
She was scheduled to go first as well. I mean, I could go first, but I just didn't want to wait for her at all.
I think
We do have
will-
some commenters if you'd like to move to comments for a moment, Council Chair.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So Emma, or excuse me, Erica, if you'll just give us a few minutes, we're going to take some comments out of turn, and then we'll come back to you as soon as Andy is back. So Cindy Lou, would you please read the commenters that we have, the names?
Yes, Council Chair. The first person to call in tonight was George Chapman. So we'll go ahead and give him his 2 minutes. I'll unmute his microphone. And George, if you could just identify the topic of your comment, and then we'll start your timer.
Am I on? Okay. I have comments on the budget and also on general comments. So first of all, on the budget, there is no funding for mobile cop cam trailers, and many community councils are requesting them. Thank you, James and Darren, for pushing for them, even at $40,000 each. But the next grant application should be asking for them, and the communities desperately need them. You're right. There's also no funding for overtime, other than overtime, to implement the police department's proposal for police park rangers. And again, many community councils are asking for these. They want more visible police in their uniforms. And during discussion today at the work session, you have 250 cold cases, which probably include murders, and you need more than one additional detective to work on them. And I'm concerned about that. And you also need more victim advocates to encourage testing of the kits and entering into the database without prosecuting, because if they don't do it and put them in the database, you're letting rapists go free. There's a military program, very successful one, that should provide direction. The city also still lacks full police staffing, and you're losing 2 to 3 a month, and that's not going to just stay at 5. It's going to be a lot more. And on the general comments, you heard the comments and complaints from Amy earlier on the street projects. Those are promising proposals, but the city should adopt some basic rules before you implement any more streets. First of all, you should get local community councils' input and discussion and recommendations on which streets are appropriate. And second recommendation is you should not discourage local business with local traffic only signs. And streets with many local businesses should not be considered. Also, you should not be increasing congestion or pollution by forcing traffic and walkers and bicyclists to be in one lane. In other words, 2-lane roads should not be used, especially if they're forced by medians into one lane. I also agree that the 300 North pedestrian bridge and all bridges should include bicycling amenities. And finally, I again have to say I like Peter Caroon still, but his project should not be rezoned to form-based UN1, since it will encourage every other developer to do the same and ask for no parking requirements. And thank you finally to Cindy and staff for juggling the commenters, including me. It is complicated and it is appreciated.
All right.
Council Chair.
Yes.
Next, we have Devin O'Donnell, followed, if
Didn't
you're comfortable moving forward on comments.
Sorry, did George Chapman want to comment on something specific, or did he? I thought at the beginning he said he wanted to comment on 2 items. Was I wrong?
He did begin the comment. I'll let him speak to that, George.
Okay, the first comment was on police and rape kits and cold cases. That was the budget comment. And the second comment I had was for general comments, and I did have, I guess, 4 separate issues. But you listened, so thank you. You know what?
Keep your eyes peeled, sir.
Okay. Did we? Was
So
that?
from what I gathered from George, we did give him the allotted time that he needed to share all of his comments for his
Okay.
topics. So
Okay.
if you want to move forward with comments, I have additional commenters, or if you'd like to, I still don't see Andy in the meeting.
Yes, let's go ahead and move on to another commenter, please.
Okay. The next commenter I have is Devin O'Donnell. Devin will be followed by Ian Kaplan. Devin, if you'll introduce yourself, I'll start your timer after you state your topic.
Yeah, hi, this is Devin O'Donnell, and I'm actually here with my roommate, Martha Castillo. I did have one topic that I forgot to mention at the beginning. I guess we both have questions more than comments. My question is, I'm just curious where I could find information about city regulations as they regard to street side construction of power lines and other utilities. And I will let my roommate Martha speak about her topic.
So my comment is on the 300 North Bridge. I'm wondering what the timeline is for that, as we anticipate students returning to school possibly in the fall. Is construction on that going to happen over the summer? Like, how far is a delay on this? That's my question and comment.
Thank you for your question and comment. The format that we have here, we don't respond to questions. It's an opportunity for you to address the council, but we will have somebody from the council staff contact you about those questions and get a response to you.
Council
That's
Chair.
perfectly wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for participating. We appreciate it.
Next, I have Ian Kaplan, who will be followed by Peter Caroon.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, if you want to begin your comment.
Yes, Ian Kaplan speaking. Thank you guys for being here tonight, and as always, for all your work as the Salt Lake City Council. We greatly appreciate you in the community. So I just wanted to comment on the 504 South 9th East rezone. For the council members that weren't on the council when this was passed several months ago, there was a slip up in the planning department where somebody wasn't able to review the development agreement that was part of the rezone. And so as such, they actually had to revoke the passing of the ordinance so that we could then bring it to vote with a new development agreement, which the only difference is they had to strike 2 of the 3 clauses because they were unenforceable. So I just wanted to remind everybody that this was already passed. We just had to bring it back to vote with a new development agreement. And that's all. Thank you guys again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. We appreciate it.
Next, I have Peter Caroon, who will be followed by Luis Farfan.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
So just as a reminder, I'm speaking on Cleveland Court and talking about building 7 units versus 5 units. We're building only 2 units with 4 additional bedrooms. The one contiguous neighbor to the north, the Rupkes, prefer the project because there's no decks facing the property and has a larger buffer than our prior project. The staff recommended approval. The Planning Commission recommended approval. The Community Council supported the change. And the design we're creating creates internal interaction with a courtyard and external interaction with decks and dog runs, and also the ability for people to speak to their neighbors if they so choose. The zoning is currently RMF 35, which allows for a 35-foot, 3-story building. So our project is smaller. We could actually sell the project and somebody could build a 3-story apartment building as of right with no design restrictions at this point. Some complain about density, but as a reminder, this is not an entirely single-family neighborhood. Within 3 blocks, there are 44 properties with 4 or more units. There are 10 properties with 8 or more units. If it seems like we're asking for a lot through a zoning amendment change, a master plan change, and a plan development process, it's because that's the city's complicated process for making these kind of changes. So 7 versus 5 units meets the goal for more affordable units. And a denial would force us to build more expensive units at a time when we actually need more affordable housing in Salt Lake City, and even more so now that we face the coronavirus. Denial of the request would deny 7 middle-income families the ability to live in this neighborhood in favor of 5 wealthier families. That's the sole reason that we changed the project from 7 units, or from 5 units to 7 units, and have gone through expense and another year's worth of time just to build more affordable. Thank
Um, thank you, Peter Caroon. We appreciate your comments.
I have Louise Barfan, followed by Tamara Prue. And these next individuals had not been asked if they were here to share comment, so they may enlighten us on their interest to speak. Louise Barfan, I'll unmute your microphone again, followed by Tamara Prue.
Hi, thank you. No, I'm just listening. It's the first time I'm part of one of these hearings, so I'm just happy to be here and learn a little bit more about this. So thank you.
All right, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Tamara, if you'd like to speak, your 2 minutes can begin after you introduce yourself and your topic.
And hear more about the process.
Sorry, Tamara, it felt like we only heard just a portion of what you said. Are you here to listen only? Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm only here to listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Ryan McMullen, followed by John Lewis.
Hey, this is Ryan McMullen. I was actually just calling to listen to any discussion on Cleveland Court. I was not aware it was open for public comment till I just heard Peter Caroon address it. So I do think most people on our street that would have called in thought we were done talking about this. So I might be the only person here. That said, I think we've voiced you've probably seen a lot of emails. We've attended a lot of these meetings. I'm still a little confused on whether these are condo units or affordable housing units. Seem to be getting a little bit of mixed message from Peter on that. So I don't know if he's allowed to respond, but you know, we'd like to see this project developed. That lot has been sort of an eyesore on the neighborhood for a while, but I think that the density and the setbacks are just a little extreme for our little single family residential neighborhood. We do have multifamily projects around, but they have open space and parking that's adequate to support them. And this is essentially a series of garage doors along the perimeter and does not support our neighborhood feel. So that's all I've got to say. I don't know if Peter can respond on condos versus affordable, but that's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. No, this is not intended to be a forum where people can ask questions and respond. It's just an opportunity to provide your thoughts on any particular topic to the council. So if you are wanting a specific response from Peter, then you need to contact him, or we can provide contact information for the two of you to exchange.
Council Chair, that I have John Lewis, and then I do have another call-in user that I don't have a name for, so I can just check with John and see if he's interested in speaking.
Great.
John, I've unmuted your microphone. If you're interested in sharing a comment, would you please state your name and identify the topic?
Oh, my name is John Lewis, and I got a flyer in the mail to join the meeting, but there was no, so it's a funny thing. I went to the website and followed the instructions to join the meeting, and it asked for a password, and there was no password on the flyer. So then I had to register for the meeting, and the registration thing says the only option was to choose that you wanted to speak. So maybe next time you guys include the password on the flyer, and then I wouldn't be asked to speak, but I did not want to speak. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in and following us. We will clarify that for the future.
And last, I have an individual who called in on the phone number, which is the 408-418 phone number. I'll unmute your microphone. Unfortunately, I don't have a name. So if you used your telephone to call in, if you could just say hello and tell us your name if you're interested in speaking. Hello? All right, Council Chair, I don't see any additional commenters in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have Andy yet?
Unfortunately, I don't see that she has returned.
I think we should just have Erica read both of their speeches just due to the fact that she's presenting to the school board and they're running late too. And so she's still presenting. And I'd just rather have Erica, give the state of the city so we're not taking everybody's valuable time up. So thank you for being considerate.
Thank you. I agree. I think we'll go ahead and go forward with the youth state of the city. And Erica, if you're willing to read both, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can do that. I don't know her part well, so I'll just be reading it off the paper, but thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm Andy Madsen, and I'm a senior at West High School. First of all, I want to thank you, city officials and employees, for all that you do for young people in our city. The fact that we get this space to speak and voice our opinions is amazing, and I can tell you that we are grateful for this opportunity. It is not often that young people have their concerns heard legitimately. I'm so excited that Salt Lake City is a leader in this fight and empowers and listens to young people. On that note, I want to talk today about one main concern many young people across the world are grappling with constantly: the threat of climate change and how it impacts our future. Moving forward, every decision we make as an individual, an institution, as a city, a state, and a country must have sustainability as the focus. It just isn't feasible to do anything else if we want to enact positive change on the lives of our citizens in the future. Through my experience with youth city government, we have researched and looked at possible solutions to some of the air quality related problems we are currently facing and will face in the future. For the past 3 years, youth city government has partnered with Dr. Daniel Mendoza from the University of Utah Department of Atmospheric Sciences and the Salt Lake City Mayor's Office to host the Breathe Clean Festival. The Breathe Clean Festival provides an opportunity for Salt Lake City residents to learn more about how inversions and ozone negatively impact our health. At the festival, residents receive free flu shots and inversion masks. This year's festival was a great success and was attended by over 120 people. Besides working on the festival with Dr. Mendoza, he has shown us how poor air quality impacts us and our loved ones' health. Youth City government students also had the opportunity to meet with Chris Parker from the Give Group to discuss affordable housing and energy efficiency. We visited their Project Open facility, an affordable housing development near my high school that produces no emissions and is home to Hello Bulk Markets, a package-free grocery store. I was impressed with Project Open's commitment to fostering creative and healthy sustainable communities. Along the same lines, I am part of an initiative that is lobbying the Salt Lake City School District to pass a resolution encouraging the district to be 100% renewable by 2030. The resolution also calls for no new purchases of old fossil fuel infrastructure. This initiative is crucial in moving forward if we want to continue to get the ball rolling on creating the most sustainable city possible. The resolution is 100% student-driven, which is crucial. In a time where young people's futures are volatile, it is important for adults to hear our voices. We shouldn't have to give up on our right to a healthy future. I appreciate all who have sacrificed their own health to make strides in our fight for clean air. With all this in mind, recognizing young people's role in this struggle is essential, while at the same time uplifting the work Salt Lake City has already done to transition to 100% renewable energy by 2032. As you can see, we, the young people of our city and world, are not only looking for solutions, we are creating change. As a senior in high school, I hope to see our legacy continue and our efforts recognized in moving towards greener, sustainable, and breathable future. This wouldn't be possible without your leadership, and we are so grateful for the time you've invested in us. However, I think we all know that this path we are on does not end here. We have a long way to go before we can retire. The air we breathe is not equal. Many in our community unfortunately bear the brunt of our current environmental problems more than others. Health concerns due to our air quality is not evenly distributed among our city's population. There are many concerns about polluting entities such as the airport and the oncoming inland port. These entities pose a multitude of environmental problems, not only to our West Side residents, but also West Side ecosystems. When thinking about solutions and goals in order to make our city more sustainable, we must keep in mind our communities who are the hardest hit in this fight to make sure we are creating a cleaner, healthier, and more livable future for all. Young people have seen mass change enacted in a short time scale and know that this must be repeated in order to continue the positive change forward. As constituents of this great city, we are asking more of you. We are asking you to continue your efforts in conjunction with us. We are asking that you work with us in order to ensure our great-grandchildren's rights to a happy and healthy life in our beautiful city. That concludes Andy's part. Hello, my name is Erica Danielle Cecilia Strand, and I am a senior at Judge Memorial Catholic High School. It is an honor to be here with you today, even if only virtually, and I thank you for taking time to listen to the youth of Salt Lake City. I have been part of youth city government for 2 years now, and unfortunately it will be my last year as I turned 18 2 days ago. Next fall, I will be attending the University of New York at Albany Honors College to study political science, international relations, and foreign affairs. Although I will no longer be here in Salt Lake, it will always be my home, which is why I am here today to speak on behalf of the youth here. This year has been a turbulent one, many highs and many lows, but overall it has been filled with many great opportunities for growth and change. This past fall, Salt Lake welcomed the United Nations, along with its more than 5,000 representatives from over 130 countries, the 68th Annual United Nations Civil Society Conference. This year was the first year the conference was held in the United States, outside of the United Nations headquarters in New York City, and Salt Lake served as a perfect place for the topic of the year, building inclusive and sustainable communities. Many people feel this is an important topic. The majority of discussions surrounding it are held by adults trying to fix things damaged in the past. This year, however, over 40% of conference attendees were youth ages 18 to 32. That is roughly 2,000 young people who traveled to Salt Lake to take part in these vital discussions. Of these 2,000 people, 5 were youth city government students, myself being one, who took days off school to learn about things not taught in the classroom. I received 3 days worth of failing grades and more makeup work than I thought was possible for such a short amount of time. However, during those 3 days, I attended over a dozen seminars, roundtable discussions, speeches, and learned more things from an incredible array of people than would have been possible in a standard school. I consider myself to be extremely lucky to have had those experiences and they have helped shape my career path and college choices. It would not have been possible for me to attend without youth city government. This year, we focused strongly on environmental justice, the housing crisis, and local issues as they arose. In January, we attended and volunteered at Mayor Mendenhall's swearing in, and shortly after, we began to plan for the spring with our new city leadership. That is when COVID-19 began to arise as a serious issue across the world, and more news became public. Here in the United States, the threat was brushed off and widely ignored. As it came into the United States, universities and colleges began to shut down, and large public gatherings were closed. Here in Utah, little was done for many weeks. At my school in particular, there was no mention of the idea of shutting down or moving online to distance learning until the day we walked out of school, only to be told that we would never be back. Judge Memorial closed on a Thursday before a long weekend, and I had actually skipped school that day to guest teach a lesson at an elementary school in Davis County. Little did I know that that would conclude my senior year, and I would never again attend classes in person. As the list of things that were to be postponed grew, my heart broke just a little bit more. The list included silly rites of passage like senior prom and senior retreat, as well as larger events like dance concert, which I'd choreographed for and was to dance in, a study abroad in Italy that would provide me with college credits, and eventually my commencement. Our spring sports and activities were canceled. Many of us or our families lost our jobs, and soon we had lost almost all motivation to finish the school year. At first, I was heartbroken. Things I had worked so hard to achieve for so many years, and many things I had felt I had earned, were taken away. Then the realization set in that this was so much bigger than me and my senior year alone, that these changes were saving lives. I accepted what had become of my final months in Utah and worked to finish my school year as strong as possible. Then, 5 weeks ago, a family emergency struck, and my mother and I had to pack up to fly across the country to be with my sister as she had been hospitalized suddenly. We donned masks and gloves and prepared to fly across the country in a compact aircraft we hoped would be empty. Unfortunately, flights were full, airports were packed, and hardly anyone seemed to be even remotely concerned with the spread of the virus. Since our recent return to Utah, malls have opened and restaurants are seating guests. I have been angry and upset by these sudden shifts in an effort to normalize life and stimulate the economy. I understand the need to avoid a complete economic shutdown, but I also understand the need to listen to science. We cannot simply return to normal life just because things look remotely okay right now. I refuse to accept the idea that I sacrificed my senior year and still went to work each day as an essential worker just for the country to be reopened during the 7th inning stretch. This is not over, and we cannot simply pretend as though it will go away if we reopen and act like it is gone. Utah has been doing an incredible job making sure testing is accessible and affordable for those in our community. Just recently, 3 testing stations were set up in one of the most affected zip codes on the west side of Salt Lake to make sure that it is accessible to all. Food banks and drives have been working nonstop to help struggling families, as well as ensure people experiencing homelessness stay fed during this time. People are taking care of each other, and it is incredible to witness. The community of Salt Lake is a uniquely strong one. We just need to wait a little bit longer to prevent the healthcare systems in place from being overwhelmed. I was allowed to give the Youth State of the City address last year, and I spoke about environmental issues and the importance of clean air. This past election cycle, we acted and elected a mayor who has always made clean air her priority. This year, I am speaking about the amazing opportunity Utah has been given to lead, to learn and lead during this pandemic. I hope that I, as well as the scientific community, can be heard, and that we as a community can step up to continue a safe social distancing measures, including temporary closures of the majority of non-essential businesses until the pandemic has slowed. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today, and thank you for the work you've been doing to keep Salt Lake City community safe, even from a distance.
Well done. Excellent words from both of you, and excellent delivery on both from Erica. So, yes, that was great. Thank you. We appreciate it very much. Oh, and it looks like Andy's here. Sorry, Andy.
Thank you.
We went ahead and had Erica read your words that your remarks for you, but they were excellent. Since you didn't get a chance to read it, is there anything else that you want to say to the council?
Sure. I would just like to thank you guys. And I also really appreciate Erica for reading my sentiment. And I unfortunately wasn't able to be here at the beginning of the meeting because I was actually presenting to the school board about the resolution that was discussed in my statement. So I really appreciate you all here listening to what I had to say. And I'm really thankful for what Salt Lake City has been doing in the past to ensure that we have a sustainable future. And I'm really excited for the future that I get to live in here. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And as I said, well done to both of you. And I think I speak for everybody on the council when I say best of luck to you in your endeavors as you go forward. And yeah, best of luck. And we always have a home here in Salt Lake. So
there's also one other thing you can say, Chris.
I don't think we have time for that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. No, go ahead and say it.
It's a panther, always a panther.
All right. Well, thank you. And again, super meaningful. All right, council members. So that would have brought us to item G, the public hearing. But I think we've gone through all of our public comments for the evening. Unless Cindy Lou, has anybody else joined us since that regarding about wanting to make any public comments?
I don't have anyone who's indicated they're interested in speaking this time.
Okay. I'll just say that for the record, we did receive something written on Facebook, and we don't really have a way to share that with the public other than posting it on the City Council website. So I guess look for that information, which will be posted on slccouncil.com. Okay. So Katie, do I need to go through and read all of the things like items G3 through G13, even though we already had the public comment?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. I had to extricate myself from louder areas. So items, you've done all of the public comment, and are you asking whether the motions are the same?
Well,
I guess that's my question is, are there separate motions on each one that you would be doing differently?
Well, we can go through and do all the motions. I just didn't read them before it was time for the public comment, so I didn't know if I had to read them or if we can just go through and call for motions on them and then read the titles as we go through them.
You can do that.
Okay, great. All right. Then we are at, we'll go ahead and do that later on the agenda. So we are now at item G1 on the agenda, which is an ordinance that would rezone a parcel of property at 1172 East Chandler Drive from Open Space District, or OS, to Foothills Residential District, or FR 3/12,000.
Mr. Chair, I move the council close the public hearing and adopt an ordinance rezoning the property at 1172 East Chandler Drive to FR-3/12,000.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rogers and a second from Councilmember Johnston. Is there any discussion to this item? I'll just indicate that this is in District 3. I only received one piece of feedback that was not, that was just seeking clarification, not opposed or for. So, any other questions or concerns, council members? Okay, we'll go ahead and put call for the vote. Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
Valdemoros?
Yes.
Mono?
Yes.
Dugan?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so that passes unanimously. Let's move on to item G2, which is an ordinance that would amend zoning of the property located at 504 South, 900 East, and amending the Central Community Master Plan future land use map.
Mr. Chair,
It's Councilmember Fowler.
I move to close the public hearing and adopt an ordinance rezoning the property at 504 South 900 East to RMU 35, subject to the applicant entering into a development agreement with the city, limiting ground floor commercial space to 1,000 square feet.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler and a second from Councilmember Rogers. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. That passes unanimously. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number G3. And actually it's G3 through G13. These are amendments associated with or excuse me, not amendments. These are associated with the implementation of the mayor's recommended budget for Salt Lake City, including the library fund for fiscal year 20 to 2021. I'll just go ahead and read them since we didn't read them earlier. G3 is an ordinance appropriating necessary funds to implement provisions of an MOU between Salt Lake City and AFSCME for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Item G4 is an ordinance approving an MOU between Salt Lake City and AFSCME for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. G5 is an ordinance appropriating necessary funds to implement provisions of the MOU between Salt Lake City and the International Association of Firefighters for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. Item G6 is an ordinance for compensation plan for all non-represented employees of Salt Lake City for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. G7 is an ordinance appropriating necessary funds to implement provisions of the MOU between Salt Lake City and the Salt Lake City Police Association for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Item G8 is an ordinance approving an MOU between Salt Lake City and the Salt Lake City Police Association. Item G9 is an ordinance adopting the rate of tax levy, including the levy for the library fund for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Item G10 is an ordinance adopting the budget for the library fund of Salt Lake City, Utah for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. G11 is an ordinance amending the Salt Lake City consolidated fee schedule for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. G12 is an ordinance relating to the fiscal year 2020-2021 city budget, excluding the budget for the library fund. And item G13 is an ordinance for the enterprise fund payments in lieu of taxes. I will look for a motion on those items.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we close the hearing and refer all of these items to a public hearing on June 2nd, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler and a second from Councilmember Rogers. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Aldemoros.
Yes.
Excuse me, Councilmember Dugan, or Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
All right, and a yes as well. That is unanimous. We will go ahead and move to agenda item H, which is the comments portion of our agenda. We've already addressed item H1, the comments to the City Council. That brings us to item H2, questions to the mayor from the City Council. Are there any questions for Mayor Mendenhall? Mayor Mendenhall, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being so diligent with your public meetings.
All right, if there are no questions for the mayor, then we will move on to section I, and that is potential action items. The item I1 is an ordinance that would amend the Central Community Master Plan future land use map and zoning map pertaining to a property located at 1430 South 400 East. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move the council adopt an ordinance amending the Central Community Master Plan to medium density residential and rezoning the property at 1430 South 400 East to FBUN1, subject to the applicant and administration entering into a development agreement as outlined in the May 19, 2020 staff report.
Second.
Do I need to do the development agreement? Yeah, I don't have to, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay, great. All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Councilmember Valdemoros. Is there any discussion to this item? I don't see any hands up, so we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Valdemoros?
Yes.
Mono?
Yes.
Dugan?
No.
Fowler?
No.
And I am a yes. That passes. let's see, that's, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm a no. Excuse me. So, so that passes, or that does not pass. And the vote would be 5 yes, or excuse me, 4 yes, 3 no.
It passes.
Pass.
Oh, I'm sorry. It does pass. I'm very sorry, everyone. So that would be 4 yeses and 3 nos. Right? Did I get that right? Okay, great. All right. We will move now to item J. That's new business, and there is none. Under item K, under unfinished business, we have a resolution for Salt Lake County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. This is a resolution that would approve the 2019 Salt Lake County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, which includes information such as demographics, a hazard profile, and identified necessary or potential mitigation projects to minimize damage and loss of life. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I think that we adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Fowler and a second by Councilmember Johnston. Oh my God. Councilmember Rogers. You guys, we almost made it.
You did it, dude. You're so close, Chris. So close.
Oh man, right at the end. Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Fowler, a second by Councilmember Rogers. Is there any discussion of this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler.
Yep.
Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Sorry, I called you guys out of order. Didn't mean to throw you off. And I'm a yes as well. So that passes unanimously. We are at item K2, our second unfinished business item. This is a resolution that would approve a housing trust fund loan modification request from Fourth North LLC and Project Open 2 LLC for a mixed income, mixed use development located at 529 West, 400 North.
Mr. Chair, I move the council adopt a resolution authorizing the loan modification request for a mixed income housing project at 529 West, 400 North.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rogers and a second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and roll call it. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We will move on to item K3. That's an ordinance that would memorialize a list of reporting requirements, including updates or reports the council has requested from the administration, items the council is entitled to receive based on state or city code, or information items that are routinely shared relating to the community and neighborhoods department.
Mr. Chair, I move
Yes.
that we adopt the resolution.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, sorry, this is Katie. I believe that it's an ordinance, actually, a resolution. I apologize.
Katie, you are correct. I apologize for misreading that. Mr. Chair, I would move that the council adopt this ordinance regarding reporting as to be provided to the city council pertaining to community and neighborhoods department.
All right, motion from Councilmember Fowler. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Valdemoros. Is there any discussion to this item? Seeing none, then I will go ahead and put it to the vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
And Fowler.
Yep.
And I am a yes as well. So that passes unanimously. We are at our last item of the unfinished business, item K4, regarding a resolution that would guide the master planning process by summarizing the policies and processes that should be used to establish goals, outcomes, and timelines for master plan development and consideration. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilmember Valdemoros.
I move the council adopt a resolution that would guide the city master planning process by identifying the policies and processes that should be used to establish goals, outcomes, and timelines for master plan development and consideration.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from Councilmember Valdemoros and a second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, then let's go ahead and vote. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yep.
And I'm a yes as well. That passes unanimously. We'll move now to item L on the agenda, which is the consent portion of our agenda. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rogers, a second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion to this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and roll call that. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. That is unanimous. That takes us to the end of our agenda. And we have no other items, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was a motion by Councilmember Fowler, second by Councilmember Johnston. Well, one last time for those in the back, Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Fowler.
C.
I want to go back to the discussion portion if we could. No,
I'm hanging up on you, Chris.
Okay, so yes, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
We need a motion to adjourn, Chris. I just, when have we needed to do that?
I